A poet, a punk, a resolute outsider who eventually embraced fascism. Eduard Limonov was as charismatic as he was problematic. One of Russia's most intriguing public figures, and now the subject of director Kirill Serebrenikov's film Limonov, the Ballad. Based on the biographical novel by French writer Emmanuel Carrère, Limonov's life straddles art, exile, and the tumultuous political changes that brought about the Russia we know today. Kirill Serebrennikov, hello.
Hello.
Eduard Limonov is such a unique figure in Russian history, a man of many faces, sometimes called a dissident, though he rejected that label. What did you think of him before you made this film?
Look, it was quite a generous and unexpected offer and proposal to create this film based on the book I didn't read before. So I first read the book and understood that it's like a good option to create this double or triple reflection of this character. Our film is not the biopic or bio of this writer, of this character, and it's a story about a poet, crazy poet, punk poet.
I hope Brodsky's comments didn't upset you.
I don't give a shit.
But Baryshnikov was ecstatic.
When he was asked who I am, Baryshnikov said, "Oh, he's another Russian." I like that answer. Yes, I am just another Russian.
This is quite an international production with a British actor, Ben Wishaw, in the lead role. Tell us a bit more about that choice, how he managed to capture the very Russian soul of this protagonist.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like started as a proposal of Italian producers. And the language was chosen, again, international language, English. And it gave me the possibility, the option to work with a big star like Ben Wishaw, who like by face and by his mood, I was pretty sure that he can create this figure. It was funny when the Russian members of the team were very confused by some foreigner will create this typical Russian character. It will be frustration, it will be something wrong. But the first day they met Ben already in Limonov, in Eddie, on set, they came up to me saying, "It's him, it's him, it's him."
We see Limonov in exile in New York in the 1970s, and he spent a long time outside of Russia. Being an émigré became a sort of part of his identity.
What Limonov, Eddie, let's call him Eddie met in America. America of 70s was quite a complicated place for living. New York was quite a dirty and violent place, very brutal, very not friendly, let's say. And that's why it became a huge trauma for him and almost killed him as a character, as a writer.
And we see Eddie moves to Paris in the 1980s, where he clashes with the media, the intelligentsia. We get the impression he finds them a little bit pompous. Is that a commentary on the French cultural establishment? What's your take on it?
No, it's not my comment. It's comment of Eddie. Eddie hated the idea to become a French writer. He was writing like, okay, what is the future for me to be one of those on the cemetery, to be a famous writer with few Goncourt awards or whatever, laying in some grave, and that's it? No, it's not for me. So he didn't love the idea of being just writer in normal society, in normality. He was looking for something strong, full of energy and definitely revolutionary.
So, is it true, Mr. Limonov, that
Limonov.
Limonov. Sorry, I'm French. So...
I know.
Please, start again.
Is it true that there is only one thing you can write about? And that is yourself?
Bullseye. I banged out this piece of pep to make some cash. But the truth is, I've never really regarded myself as a man of letters.
And we follow an important political arc in Limonov's life, from anarchist to fascist. He eventually wanted to revive the USSR toward the end of his life in the 1990s, a nationalist before he died in 2020. What do you think that tells us about, again, the arc of modern Russian history?
But it's not only Russian, actually. Now we see the coming of the opposite wing, right wing from everywhere. The people are thinking that somewhere in the past the life was better. Let's do our past life great again. Let's do ourselves great again. Let's do something great again. The main word, not life or America, or the main word is again. The idea of ressentiment contains a very important and violent energy. This energy always, from my point of view, leads to the war.
We learned that Limonov actually supported the annexation of the Donbass region in Ukraine by Russia in 2014. He even applauded Putin's actions on that issue. This idea of the violent Russian domination of former Soviet states, how do you think it managed to permeate this class of people, an artistic group of people who we wouldn't normally associate with these politics?
Look, the people who are in power today in Russia, they have the main idea of power. Power, it's the main thing. For them, culture, diplomatic things, dialogue, the culture of dialogue doesn't exist. The person who owns the power is right. Other people or the other countries have to be frightened by you, and it will be good. For me, it's like déjà vu, because I read it in the text of Limonov before, and now it comes true in real political life, and we see the consequences of it around us.
Speaking of contemporary Russia, I read that the parliament just voted measures that would prevent Russians living abroad from having any financial revenues from royalties or rents that they have in the country if they publicly criticize Russia. Why do you think it's important for Moscow to take these kind of actions, since artistic criticism doesn't seem to stop the political status quo or change their military agenda?
Probably it's because they're not that sure in what they're doing. Because when somebody yelling, it means that it's a lack of power. It means that this person is just weak. Second, if somebody sometimes asks me about the nostalgia or do want to come back to it. Look, today Russia for me is a country of the prisons, of the courts, and the country which started the war. So it's a country where Zhenya Berkovich and Svetlana Petrichuk, the very talented artists, are in prison only because or for their art, for their texts, for what they're doing in art. So it's a country which again and again oppressed the artists. And it's probably terrible and very painful déjà vu, because it all reminds the Stalin past and the severe years of Soviet Union.
Do you think measures like that, legal measures, or even the oppression of being in prison, will discourage people, artists, eventually from speaking out?
It depends on the people. There is no one law on one rule for everyone. Somebody kind of close the mouth, shuts up, and that's it, and keep silence, and pretending that the word doesn't exist, nothing existing. It's like we're just doing our artistic job and entertain the people. So they create the idea of normality of the regime. The other can't live or survive in these circumstances. They have to flee to Russia. A lot of them. It's like almost 1 million of people. It's quite a big amount of the motivated, talented, very frank, and I mean in their ideas and their ambitions, people who starting their European life now. Sometimes some of them have any connection with their relatives in Russia, because their relatives call them the traitors or the enemies.
They call me an extremist, a fascist, but you know that is not true.
If you look towards the next chapter in your life, your artistic trajectory, what word comes to mind?
Oh, what a tough question! What an interesting question. I always a little bit confused when I have to do this self-analyzation things, and I would prefer to have a little bit unpredictable. Let this word come to me later, after something happens to me.
So it's open.
So it's open. So let's say it's open.
Kirill, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
America's being freed, and I, Eddie, lead the march, and everyone loves me. Come on. I'm destined to be someone else. The whole world will be at my feet. I'm either getting famous or assassinated.